Hello, my name is Adolfo and this is Life of Adolfo. Today I'm going to give you examples on how to get your VA disability numbers. And the elementary and university math is not the same as VA math. Now, why am I doing this video? But first, I am military retired. I do have disabilities, and I did not know all these things until I was getting out the military. And this is the reason I wanted to make this video, is because everybody in the military is an expert within the military while you're still in the military doing those things. When it comes to disability, nobody is actually an expert while you're in the military. The only things that will help you and guide you are your friends previous that left the military and are telling you, or other people that already left the military. The people that are in the military telling you these things, they heard it from their friends that got out and other individuals that got out. It's better to learn this as early as possible than at the end, because you want to understand that why you're going to the doctor. You need to understand that they need to document everything, and you need to understand when you go to the VA to show them your disabilities or what you think your disabilities are. I did have a good VA representative guiding me when I got out. I'm retired, so I had more time with people that were retiring, telling me about disability, and it helped me, but I did not know the math. Now, for the math, what do I mean? It's not the same as elementary. Elementary and university, a 10 tens equals 100, or 10 times 10 equals 100. In the VA disability, let me just get this tablet on. On the VA disability, 10 tens equals a 65. 5 20s equals 100 outside. For VA disability, it equals a 67. Now, a 65 is going to get rounded up to a 70. A 67 is going to get rounded to a 70 because they go on 10% increments. Now, if you get two 50s, which is 100, that's when you're going to get a 75 or an 80% disability. I'm giving you all the numbers right now before I show you how I got those numbers. But in reality, what you're going to get is different numbers. You're going to get a 10, a 20, a 40, depending on probably how long you serve or how many disabilities you had during that time frame. I'm going to give you an example. If I had a 60, a 40, a 20, a 20, and a 10, and a 10, I will have a 90% disability. I'm going to go back to the 10s on how I got this by putting the chart right here and guiding you on how I got it. 2 10%, if you get, now how did I get all these percentage? Maybe your thumb is worth 10% of disability, your back is probably 20%, your knees are probably 10% each, and they keep on adding all these to accumulate what your disability is. I'm just giving you an example of disabilities or make-believe disabilities right now. So a 10% and a 10% in elementary math will equal a 20. On VA disability, it's a 19. Then they're gonna do the 19% with another 10%, because like I mentioned, it's 10%. And they're gonna get a 27. They're gonna do the 27 on the chart to the 10%, and they're going to get a 34. From the 34 to another 10 is going to be a 41. From the 41 to another 10 is going to be a 47. From the 47 added to another 10% is going to be a 52%. The 10% to a 57 a 52 with a 10% is a 57. 57 to another 10 is a 61. And a 61 with another 10 is 65, which is then rounded up to a 70% disability. If we did 5 20s And the reason I'm giving all these examples is just in case you did not understand the first time, the second time, and hopefully you understand by the third and the fourth. 5 20s, a 20% and a 20%, according to the chart, is a 36. Then you go down on the 36 and you look for the 20%, and that will get you a 49. Then you go to the 49 with a 20%, that will give you a 59. And then from the 59 to another 20%, it will give you a 67, rounded to a 70. Now imagine that you have two 50%. A 50% with a 50% is a 75, which will round out to a 80%. As you can see, if you're not getting the hint right now, the higher the number of the percentage of disability when they round it up. That's why some people will say you have to have high numbers to get a high disability. And I'm going to give you an example. Imagine that you had a 60%, a 40, a 20, and a 20, and a 10, and a 10. Maybe you had a head injury worth 70. You had I'm not sure if they have sleep apnea, a 40. You had your wrist, a 20, your finger, a 10, your arm, a 20, and your knee, a 10. That will give you a 60, 40, 20, 20, 10, 10. Since they got to start with the highest number, a 60 and a 40 is a 76. That's the same. That's higher than having 10 10s. Remember, 10 tenths is a 65. A 60 and a 40 is already a 76. Rounding them up, it's already a 10% higher. And then after that 76, like I mentioned, you have two 20s. So the 76 with a 20 is an 81. And then that 81 with additional 20 is an 85. Now you're at 85% with 2 tenths left. 85 with a 10 equals a 88. A 88 with another 10 equals a 90. And that's how you get a 90% disability. And if you keep on adding numbers, you could get all the way to 100. But another thing that I forgot to mention is that not all the numbers or all the disabilities claims that you're claiming are going to get accepted. And it all depends how you do your disability. That's why I really cannot guide you. I can only guide you the way I did it. I got my disability and I did my claim after I got out the military. Well, I submitted my claim, but I got everything after. I had to do a lot more after. And the reason I did that is because I had a good VA person helping me that I had to go through my record and I had to go do certain things that helped me get my disability the way it is. You don't want to rush certain things and then later on start crying that you didn't get what you wanted. For me, there was no hurry. So I did all that process at that time. When I got out, I was not getting disability. I was getting all these letters and I was getting this, I want to say the middleman to prove that I had that disability. So I was going to all these places. When I got out, I was getting paid to go to these places. I got a check each time I went to a place if it's a certain distance. And they were verifying if that claim is accepted. Right after that, that's when I got my VA claim. It's a paperwork and each claim that got accepted with what percentage of the disability. And then at the end, they gave me my disability number. Like I said, this is the way I did it. A lot of people do everything while they're in the military. If you're in a rush, go ahead, but make sure all your ducks are aligned. One thing that I see a flaw in the military, I see two flaws. Number one is that you get pressured of not going to the doctor. You get pressured. I'm going to give you a story. I was in Hawaii, and I know this is a little bit off topic. There was this gunny sergeant retired. I'm not going to say he was crying, but he was saying, I told the VA that I got injured. How can I get injured somewhere else if I was in the military? That's why they gave me this. For him, he had more leeway because he did all this 20 plus years, and you could go and say, it happened in there. Wow, he did get it. Other people may not have that luxury. I'm not saying him, but there's a gunny sergeant out there is telling you do not go because he's not going. You don't want to be that person that didn't go. And as the gunny sergeant, you don't want to be that gunny sergeant saying those things and not going as well. And then wondering why someone else is getting a higher disability and you're over there in pain while you're out. The number two is make sure that your doctor is not, I don't want to say lazy. Well, that is lazy or just cutting corners and not putting everything on your medical record. Some of them, they just do all the paperwork quick and boom. Especially if you're in an area where you only have an enlisted person doing it and they're not documented. And that's the luxury of me, that I had areas where I had officers and they actually document everything. Or maybe they understood about the disability. And that's all I got. Make sure you document, make sure that you don't get pressured. And third, make sure when you go to disability, to the VA disability, you point out everything. You might see it as a minor thing, but it might be a disability. Thank you, and thank you for watching.